Well, today marks 5 years since the deadly mass shootings at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And the debate over gun control still remains divided after the Sandy Hook shooters' rampage that killed 20 children and 6 staff members.
There have been more mass shootings since, but little agreement on what to do about guns. According to the most recent CBS News poll on the debate, 1/3 of Americans believe gun violence in the U.S. has reached a crisis level.
For more on the debate, let's bring in Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh. He is an advocate for stricter gun control. Mr. Frosh, thank you very much. While hundreds of gun laws have been signed since the Sandy Hook shooting, you write that not nearly enough has been done. Now, if a massacre at an elementary school won't trigger major gun reform, what will?
It's very hard to say, Chris. I mean, we were able in Maryland to pass strong gun laws gun safety laws after Sandy Hook. We banned the sale of assault weapons, large capacity magazines. We require people to submit their fingerprints to the state police when they want to buy handguns now. And those provisions can and do improve gun safety, reduce violence. But it hasn't taken hold across the country as I think it should.
In your opinion piece that was written after the Las Vegas shooting, you say that we need gun control that will prevent hundreds of shootings without endangering the Second Amendment. Is that possible? You know, those who argue on the other side say the slope is quite slippery. One type of restriction can inevitably lead to a violation of our rights.
Well, I mean, I think that's a silly argument. People know what the Second Amendment says. States like Maryland have passed laws that are simply common sense gun safety laws. They reduce gun deaths, they reduce gun violence, and there's no reason in the world why they can't be applied nationwide.
You've had at least 328 homicides that have been reported in Baltimore in just this past year alone. What's being done at the state level to prevent gun-related crime in Maryland?
Well, as I said, we passed strong gun safety laws several years ago. We've had a crisis, especially in Baltimore City, that really stems from the death of Freddie Gray, and there's been a lot of violence in its aftermath. I don't think it's a particularly good test case for what to do about gun violence. That is, the statistics in Baltimore City. But on the whole, our state is doing better. We think that the measures that we put in place have reduced and will continue to reduce gun violence. And if other states made the right to carry subject to someone who is not committed a violent crime, really needs to carry a weapon for his or her safety, I think we'd be better off across the nation.
You know, Attorney General, among the many counter arguments is the fact that we have a lot of laws that regulate guns in this country, and it's not about the laws, it's about adhering to the laws and the way that they're implemented. And we see in the church shooting in Texas, there were laws in place, there were screening laws in place, background check laws in place, and you know, people didn't follow them. So you know, you can pass 100 laws, but you can't make people obey the law.
Well, look, I mean, we have 310 million or more guns in private hands in the United States. That's basically one for every man, woman, and child. We are never going to have laws in place that are going to stop every instance of gun violence. I think that in Nevada, the laws are not as tough as they are in Maryland. Admittedly, the guy who brought those guns to the hotel shouldn't have had them. But the argument that we're never going to prevent all the gun violence doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. I mean, we've got to do the best we can, and having laws that keep guns out of the hands of violent criminals, keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers, those can only help and do help reduce the amount of gun violence that we experience. It's way too much, but we can improve it.
Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, don't miss our special report tonight. Mass shootings 5 years after Sandy Hook at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on CBSN.